welcome to Premier League Live. Interestingly, not for the start of Tottenham against Aston Villa, but certainly the second half, which is coming up very shortly. Aston Villa leading at Tottenham by a goal to nil. Morgan Rogers with the goal in the first half to give Villa the lead. So, we'll certainly have the second half live coming up for you. And a bit later on, the full game between Manchester United and Chelsea, which kicks off at 4:30 this afternoon. And there'll be team news from Old Trafford very, very shortly. So that's to come. Yesterday, we saw some dramatic games as well in the Premier League. A crazy day with Manchester City and Arsenal both losing yesterday. It gave Liverpool the opportunity to go top of the Premier League table. They did that, but had to come from behind at home against Brighton. Nottingham Forest are up into third. Well, third before Villa were winning. Fourth as it stands, with Nottingham Forest thrashing West Ham by 3-0 in that one, and Everton falling to defeat Southampton with their first win of the season. And you could have guessed that Wolves and Crystal Palace drew, but a goal draw in that one. Goals there at Molineux. Right, the players are just coming out for the second half at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I know this is strange, but let's get down to business and let's get it done. Aston Villa leading Tottenham by a goal to nil. Spurs conceding from a set piece. Second phase of a corner really didn't go their way. And Aston Villa having the benefits of that so far. We'll see how Spurs can react though as they get the second half underway at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It will be Aston Villa's 6th win of the season. It would leave Tottenham in 10th if they were to lose. And there's an issue here early on. Well, Tottenham wanted to be an issue. Martinez just gathered the ball right on the perimeter, the edge of the 18-yard box. See it again. And he's inside. I mean, it's not an issue, but he might have just carried it across the line. It's just inside. Gets a bit lucky there, Martinez. Spurs were right to ask the question. It's a good turn into space by Ramsey. Now Watkins. Villa seem to have control of that midfield. Here's Onana. Out to Lucadinha. Cash back to Onana again. And key thing for Aston Villa, looking to keep that momentum from the first half. Villa have had 7 shots. Spurs have 8 shots. More possession as well from Tottenham. But the key difference is the XG between the two sides. Spurs' XG is 0.2. Whereas Villa's is 1.31. So a massive gaping hole in the difference of the XG between the two sides. Christian Romero just taken down there by Ollie Watkins. A free kick goes Spurs' way. No yellow cards so far in this game. Romero plays it across to Dragoshin. Back to Romero. Up through the middle, and Porro tried to link up. Given away by Villa again as Porro closed down well by Ramsey. Although he tries to spin away Porro and got a hold there, but the referee says there was no issue. Now Villa want to spring a break, but good block by Romero from the pass to Ollie Watkins. Good afternoon, Ross. Welcome in. Great to have you with us this afternoon. And now there's an issue here for Aston Villa because Morgan Rogers is down. Certainly been a chaotic first 2.5 minutes of the second half. Yeah, he kind of kicks it and then Bentancur just leaves one in on Morgan Rogers. I mean, it's very little, but makes an attempt for the ball and just catches the player on the follow through. Nothing really in that. And Morgan Rogers gets back to his feet. Certainly a tough start to the second half for the referee, Craig Paulson. A couple of incidents. And VAR for this one is David Coote. So far, no VAR action, but you never know. Dragoshin to a doggy. Out now to Son up against Cash. Heung-min Son looks for the cross, and it's bundled in. Brennan Johnson gets Spurs' leveller. Great cross by Heung-min Son, and it was Solanke and Johnson in the middle, but it was Brennan Johnson that grabs the ball and brings it back to get Spurs on the attack once again. Really good play down the left-hand side. Son takes on his man and sets up the beautiful cross. It's a doggy into Son, spaced, hugging that left touchline. Takes on Cash. Cash gives him far too much space in that left-hand side, and Son just whips in a wonderful cross with his left foot, curls it round the Villa defence, and just there to tap it home was Brennan Johnson. And Spurs back on terms. Brennan Johnson, who's been in firing form for Spurs in these last few weeks, and he gets another. 1-1. Kulishevsky gets the block there as he tried to come forward. He will get the corner. Well, Kulishevsky. Unai Emery watches on. The last thing you really want to do is give up your lead so quickly after half time. And that is exactly what Villa have done. And now Spurs have the momentum. Let's see, the corner delivered in into the hands of Martinez. No real threat there. And that equalising goal for Spurs is Brennan Johnson's 4th Premier League goal of the season in his 9th start. Here's Tielemans trying to spread it out wide. Good block by Udogie. Now brought down by Son. Udogie bursting down that left-hand side. Here is Destiny Udogie. Chops back on Cash. Udogie across. Solanke! Good save by Martinez. But again, good play by Spurs down that left-hand side. They intercept the Villa pass. And Udogie and Son speeding down that left-hand flank. And Udogie just gets the time and space in the box to pick out a pass of Dominic Solanke, who gets 1 or 2 touches before he takes the shot. And the shot ultimately straight down the throat of the Villa keeper. But from a Villa point of view, far too easy. Lovely bit of skill from Son. Skips away from another. Finds Kulishevsky. Really, Spurs purring at the moment as the cross from Kulishevsky. And then Porro's sliced effort goes over the bar. All of a sudden, Tottenham have burst into life. Maybe it was Ange Postecoglou's team talk at half-time that got them going. Or maybe it is just the momentum of the game changing. As Emi Martinez has taken his time with this goal kick. Some of the Spurs fans pointing to their watches, saying about time wasting. It wouldn't be a thing I would recommend at this early stage. 53rd minute of the game to be time wasting, but some do it. Again, no way through for Villa. Given away. This time, the challenge on Son in the middle will get Spurs the free kick. And as it stands, Aston Villa would be in 4th. Tottenham would stay in 10th. The only thing that would bring them above 10th is a win. And a win for Spurs would put them above Brighton up into 7th. And interestingly, if they were to win, of course, they would be just 2 points off their biggest rivals, Arsenal, who of course fell to defeat in the North East yesterday. Again, Emi Martinez trying to waste as much time as possible. Again, I don't understand it, but goes long. The middle, trying to find Ollie Watkins, who's in a foot race with Romero. Watkins battles off the Spurs defender. Breaks away from another one, but it's upended there by Pedro Porro. And he's going to get a yellow card, the Spurs fullback. And Ollie Watkins gets Villa the free kick. Really aggressive running from Ollie Watkins. Gets away from Romero, and then Porro comes sliding in, gets none of the ball, and completely takes out the Villa centre forward. And Porro gets himself a yellow card. Another set piece opportunity for Aston Villa. It's where they got their goal in the first half. Matty Cash to take. No, it's actually not Matty Cash. It's Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans with delivery. Again, Spurs to clear it away, but not fully cleared. Goodness me, John McGinn's shot was not too far away, ultimately. Bentancur with a header to clear it away, and then McGinn just sweeps through it beautifully with that left foot. It just curls away at the last second. As now Spurs are going to make a double substitution. Start of this second half, so about 10 minutes gone, and Spurs making a double substitution. And I think Heung-min Son is going to be one of those coming off, which is interesting. Rodrigo Bentancur and Son are going to be coming off here for Tottenham. And Yves Bissouma is going to be one of those substitutions, or one of those coming on. Well, that seems to be a really strange decision. And Richarlison is the other. Strange decision by Ange Postecoglou, bringing off your captain and the player that's practically got you going in this second half. Richarlison and Bissouma on for Bentancur and Heung-min Son. Well, Aston Villa won here last season by 2-1. That day Spurs opened the scoring. Giovanni Lo Celso before Pau Torres equalised, and Ollie Watkins got the winner to give Villa all 3 points. Spurs returned the favour in the reverse fixture last year, absolutely destroying Villa by 4-0 at Villa Park in March. Here's Sarr, back to Porro. Porro with a cross, headed away by Torres. Bouncing ball. Sarr tried to get the better of Ramsey, but Ramsey did well there to get it to Digne. And now they try and clear it, Villa. Rodgers had his pass intercepted. And Yves Bissouma picks it up for Tottenham. Here's Richarlison off the left-hand side. He's got McGinn in front of him. John McGinn gets in his way and takes the ball away from him. Rodgers trying to burst away into space. Morgan Rodgers, surrounded by many's a Spurs player, ends up on the floor. And there's going to be another yellow card coming out here. And this time Christian Romero is going to get that one. It seems like Spurs getting very aggressive. Morgan Rodgers charges forward. And then Romero comes flying in. It's so reckless. Really reckless, that from Christian Romero. And he gets the yellow card for his troubles. And that's the second Spurs defender to get booked. It's only the second booking in the second half, to be fair, or of the game. And Son looks certainly not in the best of moods on the bench there. And I have to say, it's understandable. When you're a star of this team, a hungry striker like Heung-min Son is, you want to be on that pitch and scoring goals. and setting them up as he did for Spurs' equaliser. His manager has the final say and wanted to protect Heung-min Son from any further injury problems. Matty Cash has had a bit of an issue there. Christian Romero, I think, maybe ruined his boot in that challenge, so has to get a new right boot. Matty Cash went down as well when the stoppage was called, so that's what the problem is there. He's back to his feet, so he's just coming to the sidelines after receiving a bit of treatment. Is the Villa fullback. Maybe Unai Emery hinting at a few changes coming for Aston Villa. It's not been the most enamouring second half so far from a Villa point of view. Romero, Christian Romero's going to have to come off here now. He's got a new boot and has now taken the boot off that he just got and is sitting on the floor holding his right foot. So I think Christian Romero's day is going to be over here. There's a couple of really injury issues there. It all comes from that challenge from Romero, which he got a yellow card for on Morgan Rogers. Another stoppage for the moment. And Matty Cash is another casualty in this last few moments because he's had to come off as well. And Diego Carlos is coming on in his wake. So Carlos on for Cash for Aston Villa. And it looks like Christian Romero is going to be replaced. And I think Ben Davies is going to be the substitute there. And that substitution confirmed, then Romero off and Ben Davies on in his place. And that's now both the Spurs' starting centre-backs injured, with Mickey van de Ven also out. And we saw how Spurs really had to deal with that last season as well, when both centre-backs were out of the team with an injury. How difficult it was for Tottenham to deal with that situation, as now there's another player down. It's Andre Onana this time, or Amadou Onana. I think there might be something with his face, maybe. Be caught in the face by a opponent. Now we have another stoppage. A lot of stoppages in the second half. See this again, it's Onana and Sarr. Yeah, kind of clashed heads with Sarr like 10-15 seconds before he actually went down. Just continued on his run and then he really felt the brunt of it as he passed the ball off, did Onana, and he is okay. Certainly not a serious one, that one on Onana. Luckily he is okay. Digne couldn't find the pass through, has to turn back. Here is Onana. Torres into Digne. Certainly the game has gone a bit flat with all these stoppages. Nice interception by Rogers. Finds Ramsey down the left. Up against Sarr. Jacob Ramsey trying to get past his man, ends up on the floor, and he's going to get a free kick. And both went to ground there, Sarr and Ramsey, but deemed to be a foul on Jacob Ramsey, so a free kick to Aston Villa. Yeah, just a little tug on Ramsey, to be fair. A free kick for Aston Villa. Yuri Tielemans trying to spot a target. high up on that left-hand side. Let's see what he can deliver here. Goes short. Edge of the box, and the shot takes a wicked deflection in the middle. Might have been off Carlos, actually, and goes behind for a goal kick. See this again. It's just a short free kick. Yuri Tielemans gives it to the edge of the box to Luca Digne, and then the shot kind of goes all the way through, and then Carlos has a swipe at it. Ultimately comes to nothing. An unorthodox free kick from Aston Villa there. And ultimately it didn't come to nothing. Sarr. Right to Richarlison. Up against McGinn again. And McGinn does well to take the ball off Richarlison, but almost puts it out for a corner. Two Spurs as Carlos here has to rescue it. Gives it straight back to Richarlison, who will go cross. And the ball from Tielemans straight back into the hands of Emi Martinez. It goes long to Watkins. Up against Dragusin. There's a tick on his man, but good covering there as well. Ultimately by Pedro Porro, helping out his centre-back on the throw into Spurs. To say it's a good matchup, this one. The Tottenham side, they're hoping to push further up the table this season, and a Villa side looking to maintain the successes of last season, finishing in 4th. As it stands, a draw would be enough to put them into 4th place. Here's Richarlison. If they can hold on, and good block there by Esri Konsa against Richarlison. He tried to cross the ball. With about 25 minutes to go, it remains level. Spurs seemingly still have the better of the game. Certainly in this second half. Aston Villa really haven't tested Vicario for the last 20 minutes or so. Here's Johnson. Good block by Ramsey, who kind of dropped in there to help out defensively. Spurs will get the throw in. It will be Pedro Porro to take. Throws it straight to Kulishevsky on the turn. Gets away from Tielemans. Now finds Sarr. And out to Richarlison. Trying to eke a bit of space. Couldn't find any space. Here's Sarr. He tries to measure one up. And the shot just goes agonisingly wide for Pap Sarr. It's a good idea. Ball comes back to Sarr, and you think he might just pass it off. He decides to drive in, failed. And then unleashes the shot with the right foot. Just a bit more curl, and that would have found the bottom corner. Martinez was beaten and just goes wide. Certainly Spurs continue to be a threat. Another issue here for Aston Villa. There's another player down. I think it's Morgan Rogers, sorry. He's gone down again. Villa goal scorer not in a good way, it seems, at the moment. He's getting treatment once again. It's a number of stoppages in this second half. Number of stoppages in the last few minutes even. With the substitutions and the multiple amount of injuries. I think it might have been just in the aftermath of that Pap Sarr shot. Morgan Rogers kind of gets trundled upon and trampled upon, really. Accidentally, but he does, and it's just left him in a bit of pain. Well, don't forget, another Premier League game for you coming up a bit later on, about an hour away. We're at Old Trafford as Ruud van Nistelrooy takes charge of his second Manchester United game. His first in the Premier League, of course, after Ruben Amorim was confirmed as the new United head coach, but won't be taking charge until later this month. So it is Ruud van Nistelrooy remaining in charge until that point, and they take on Chelsea at Old Trafford at 4:30. Don't forget about that, since it might be the end of Morgan Rogers' day as well. That little moment just maybe was a bit too much, and Villa readying maybe another substitution here. And he had to make one injury substitution in this second half, with Matty Cash coming off for Diego Carlos. And it's now going to be the man who always scores from the bench, John Duran. He has the best minutes per goal ratio this season of any player in the league. He is averaging a goal every 58 minutes played on the pitch. He's got 4 Premier League goals. And now Morgan Rogers is coming off. I don't think he's particularly happy with the substitution. And you can see that with his reaction. And John Duran is on in his place. So extra Villa threat up front. And Duran, who's a concern for any defence, really. And he scored a midweek, did John Duran, in that defeat in the Carabao Cup at home against Crystal Palace. He also scored in that 2-0 win over Bologna in the Champions League. His last Premier League goal, John Duran, was a 3-1 win against Wolves back in September. But certainly scored in the other competition. Scored, of course, that huge winner against Bayern Munich in the Champions League last month. Here's Dejan Kulusevski. Johnson. Johnson will go for the deep cross, but easily gathered and seen all the way by Martinez. Has scored a number of clutch goals away from home this season as John Duran, albeit very early in the campaign. Scored winners away at West Ham and away at Leicester. Both 2-1 wins on those occasions for Aston Villa. Scored a winner, of course, against Everton at home. Certainly his impact is huge at Aston Villa as McGinn spins the ball out to Ramsey. He's got Watkins and Duran in the middle. Where Ramsey wants to go himself, spreads it across, but neither here nor there for either Duran or Watkins. All the way through and out the other end for Spurs. Certainly that threat for Villa in the final third, no doubt about that. 20 minutes to go. 1-1. The game slightly on a knife edge, shall we say. Here's Richarlison. Up against Konsa. Richarlison's ball in is to the target of no one in the end there. Solanke was the closest, but was a good 5 yards off that cross from Richarlison. I really don't understand the decision. I mean, I get the fact that maybe you want to protect Heung-min Son, but he takes him on. Ange Postecoglou takes Son off at a time when Spurs had the momentum, had the control of the game, and were the better team, and were certainly pushing for that second goal. Those substitutions started kind of a whole 10-minute spell of stoppages, which kind of derailed the momentum. Just made the game a bit more even again. A good turn by Bissouma. Nice Sarr. Goes long to try and find Brennan Johnson. Lovely touch by Johnson, but Digne got in the way of the second one. Does well Johnson to recycle it back to Porro. Now back to Brennan Johnson. As Johnson goes back to Bissouma. Now Sarr trying to feed it through the lines. On the turn was Kulusevski. Now Porro. Johnson trying to link up. Finds Porro again. It couldn't find a way through as Digne got the block. And puts it out for a Spurs throw. It's better play by Spurs. Intricate football, not rushing the play in the final third. It's Porro to take the throw. Kulusevski again spins away from Ramsey. Couldn't get past Pau Torres and he clears his lines. The ball goes out for an Aston Villa throw off Dragusin. And the last time there was a draw between these two in the Premier League, you have to go all the way back to May 2012, when they drew 1-1 at Villa Park. The last time they drew in a game where Tottenham were at home was in February 2010, which is a 0-0 draw. So draws are not too common between Tottenham and Aston Villa. Certainly not over recent years anyway. It would make if Villa were to win here this afternoon, it would make a run of 3 consecutive wins away at Tottenham. A 2-0 win in January of 2023 and a 2-1 win in November of last year. And if they were to win here, that would be 3 in a row, which would be the first time in the Premier League era that Villa would have done that. Oh, it's a goal for Spurs. Dominic Solanke. Talking about Aston Villa trying to win. It's Spurs that get the goal to take the lead. And Dominic Solanke with a goal. Seemed too good to be true for Tottenham. That momentum had really evaded them. But Dominic Solanke, their new star striker, is providing the goals. It comes from Villa trying to break away themselves. Spurs win it back, and really from nothing, Pap Sarr squeezes it into a bit of space. Brennan Johnson, I think, is involved as well in the middle. Very confined space, and Solanke just onside, I think, as the last, trying to break off the last line of defence from Villa. And they're going to check this VAR. It looks tight. Said it looked too good to be true. We'll see if it is too good to be true for Aston Villa, or for Tottenham, sorry. See it again. It's Esri Konsa that's the last man for Aston Villa. It looks to be onside, but it's going to be very tight, this. As I said, VAR David Coote. And the goal stands. It looked tight, but it looked, from the initial angle, that Dominic Solanke had held his run to perfection. And he did. The ball through the lines by Kulusevski. And the dink by Solanke over Emi Martinez. And Spurs lead. Now they want to put the game to bed with a bit of pressure. That's a good bit of pressure on Pau Torres. Well, it would really cap off what has been an incredible week for Spurs so far. If they were to win, knocking Manchester City out of the Carabao Cup here on Wednesday night. But here come Villa with a response. Here's Ollie Watkins, spins his man. Took maybe too many touches as McGinn now lays it off to Tielemans. Lots of Spurs bodies back. Villa taking too much time on that counter. And they will certainly have a vested response as Ramsey. Flag stays down. Back to Tielemans. Into the box it comes. The back post. It's cleared away by a doggy. Still alive. McGinn. Carlos. Tielemans. Now Onana. Onana will hit one, but should have decided against that. Amadou Onana as it goes flying over the bar. Again, it's a good counter by Villa there initially, but Ollie Watkins maybe just takes too many touches. And ultimately, the real momentum of that counter-attack for Aston Villa breaks down. Just seeing the Spurs goal again. I mean, it all comes from Aston Villa breaking away themselves. Spurs win it back really quickly, and they get it into a tight space where Kulusevski and Brennan Johnson are. Lots of Villa bodies, and Kulusevski just plays it beautifully through for Dominic Solanke, who coolly finishes. I mean, only Martinez goes to ground far too quickly. It just makes up Dominic Solanke's mind. They just dink the goalkeeper, chip it over him. And now Villa are going to make substitutions to try and wrestle this game back with just over 10 minutes to go. You have to say the whole second half has been much more like Spurs. Here's Sarr. Now to Richarlison across Solanke. 2 in a matter of minutes for Dominic Solanke. And that really should be game, set and match for Tottenham. The comeback of the second half is complete. And Dominic Solanke with 2 goals should be giving Spurs all 3 points. Again, it's all of Villa's own doing, giving the ball away too cheaply. And Spurs just breaking away with incredible pace. And the finish is as simple as you like for Dominic Solanke. But you have to be in those spaces to make those easy finishes. Again, it's Villa catching themselves out in possession. Torres gives it away to Sarr. And then it's a real kind of battle back for Villa, really. Sarr plays it to Richarlison. Richarlison squares it across the 6-yard box. And just a simple enough tap in for Dominic Solanke. An easy as you like finish. And to be honest, that's what Spurs need. A bit of a breather now. Take that the 2-goal lead. And Dominic Solanke getting that goal with the player who set him up. Richarlison seemed to be in a bit of pain on the field as Villa make their substitutions. So Jacob Ramsey and John McGinn are coming off, and Jaden Philogene and Leon Bailey are coming on. And the third substitution is going to be Yuri Tielemans, and he's going to make way for Boubacar Kamara. So Bailey, Kamara and Philogene all on, replacing McGinn, Tielemans and Ramsey for Aston Villa. And Richarlison back to his feet. Only on the field 25 minutes. Richarlison. And it doesn't look good. And he is walking on the leg, but maybe just the aftermath of that. Yeah, he just kind of squares the ball across to Solanke for the goal and kind of stretches something in that left leg. And that's disappointing. If it is to be the end, I think it might just be the end of the day for Richarlison. It will be, as Spurs are going to make a double substitution of their own. James Maddison and Archie Gray are going to be coming on for Tottenham. So Maddison on in the place of Richarlison. And the other substitution for Spurs is going to be Archie Gray coming on for Destiny Udogie. Lots of substitutions in these last few minutes for both sides. Spurs just trying to see this one out now. Aston Villa, as slim as their hopes may be of getting something, they make those changes and you never know. They've come from 2 goals down before this season and won the game against Everton, but very different affair and very different circumstances here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 2 goals down and with just a matter of minutes to go. And a massive turnaround. I mean, in that first half, Spurs had no shots on target. Compare that to now, 4 shots on target in the whole of the second half. But Aston Villa haven't had a shot on target in the second half. So, really, the game of 2 halves, in a sense. It's been all Spurs the second half. And it was really Aston Villa in the first. This is Brennan Johnson on the run forward. Remember, Dominic Solanke now on a hat-trick. You wouldn't bet against him getting it. Got 2 goals in the space of 4 minutes. Wouldn't bet against them getting another. And the way the Villa team are defending in this second half, it's been really woeful from Villa defensively. Although here comes Philogene to try and give Villa a bit of a lifeline. Into the box, Philogene trying to get past Dragoshin, but well closed off. And Spurs with lots of bodies back. We're not letting Philogene pass there. Lovely ball by Onana. Out it comes to Bailey. Still come Villa. Bailey again gets to the byline, tries to cut it across, but again straight into the hands of Vicario. Certainly trying Villa, but ill-fated attempts at the moment. And don't forget as well, another game coming up for you very shortly. Manchester United against Chelsea. There's a 4:30 kickoff. We're around about 50 minutes away. We'll have live commentary of that one from Old Trafford for you. Don't forget about that. And the team news has dropped from Old Trafford. Andre Onana starts in goal for United. Mazraoui, De Ligt, Martinez and Dalot are the defenders. Ugarte, Casemiro and Fernandes in midfield. Rashford, Garnacho and Højlund at the forwards for United. For Chelsea, Sanchez in goal. Gusto, Fofana, Colwill and James are the defenders. Lavia, Caicedo are the 2 midfielders, with Noni Madueke off the right, Neto off the left, Palmer through the middle and Nicholas Jackson the centre forward for Chelsea. And 2 of the top clubs in the Premier League facing off against each other at Old Trafford. Very different starts to the campaign so far. United 3 wins out of 9 and lost 4 of those 9 games. Chelsea side who, if they win this afternoon, Chelsea would jump up to 3rd in the Premier League and would just be 5 points behind league leaders Liverpool and 3 points behind 2nd place Manchester City if Chelsea were to win. United, really, it's about rescuing their season at this early stage with no Erik ten Hag sacked just days ago. Ruud van Nistelrooy taking charge until Ruben Amorim comes in later this month. Ruben Amorim will be coming in after the international break as Bailey wins Villa the corner there. 4 minutes to go plus additional time at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And Manchester United, if they were to win today, would only go up to 11th is the highest they can finish this afternoon with. Can Manchester United? Corner for Villa then. Lucadinho on this right hand side. You never know. Anything can happen in the Premier League. And Craig Pawson, the referee, just sorting out 1 or 2 issues in here. Amadou Onana. I keep getting those 2 mixed up. Amadou Onana, they're involved. Yeah, he's certainly lurking around the goalkeeper there is Onana. So Digne to take the corner. Headed away simply at the first calling of asking there by the first man. Throw in from Digne, trying to keep that threat, but again, Spurs just look really solid, really comfortable at the moment. They've got the game in their grasp, and if they don't do anything stupid, they should get the 3 points here. And it's as simple as that, really. As I said, 3 points that would move Spurs up to 7th. They would be just 2 points behind their opponents in this game, Aston Villa, but also 2 points, just 2 points behind Arsenal as well, who are in 4th. So top 4 certainly very much within reach of Spurs in this early stage of the season. So far, if they were to keep hold of this, and that run of Villa winning at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is coming to an end. Spurs' last win against Villa was in 2021 at the TH. for short. They won by 2-1 on that day. And their last 3-1 win was in 2019, when Harry Kane scored 2 of the goals that day for Spurs. Makes it a good run for Spurs, really, in these last few weeks. It will be 4 wins in their last 5 games in all competitions. Just that little hiccup away at Crystal Palace would be the only kind of hiccup in these last 5. Although they've been in various different spells this season, Spurs, they haven't lost back-to-back games since early September, when they lost to Newcastle and Arsenal back-to-back. So certainly in a decent run of form are the team of North London. Villa get a corner here, and Pedro Porro, not particularly comfortable there. Pedro Porro, let's just say, he's holding a delicate area. I don't know why. It seems to be much more common. Give them guards or something. Anyway, a couple of seconds to go before we see how long's it added on here at the ends. Luca Digne to take this Villa corner. Left-footed delivery into the box, but just before that ball was delivered in, there was a foul in there, given away by Onana, and a free kick. And my goodness me, I told you we would have a lot of there's been a lot of stoppages in this second half. You didn't believe me? Well, you'll believe me now, because there are 10 added minutes at the end of this game. 10 added minutes. The many injuries and substitution stoppages have really tarred this second half. Although, to be fair, it does take nothing away from Spurs. They have been excellent in this second half, and well deserving of the 3-1 lead which they have at this moment in time. There's no question about that. But 10 minutes shows you how stop-start this second half has been. Really. And we do hope you can stay with us once this game comes to an end. When we go to Old Trafford at 4:30, we'll be live from 4:20. We'll get a full build-up to the game. We'll talk to we'll talk about the teams, and we'll also have a look back at what this Premier League weekend has given us so far, with one more game to come after this afternoon's games between Fulham and Brentford, a London derby, on the Monday Night Football. Philogene. Back to Carlos. Now Consa out to the right hand side for Bailey. Villa still believe, and with the time on the clock they surely can believe, albeit 2 goals down, but they get one in the next minute or two, and there's a real charge for that late equalizer. Might be getting ahead of myself, but that's what Villa will be hoping for and believing in these late stages. And it's not if they don't have the ball, they can't do that. Here's Bissouma. Sarr. Back to Dragoshin. Plays it straight up to Johnson, who's got the time and space to take the ball and control it and spin it past 2 Villa players. Really good play by Johnson there. Sarr. Out now to the left it comes. Kulishevsky back to Sarr. Now Maddison. Gray. Back to Sarr. Now Kulishevsky. It's back to goal, but tried to force it into the box there and get something, but Villa clear their lines, but only as far as Tottenham winning it back again. Sarr. Bissouma. To Gray again. And Spurs just playing keep ball at the moment. I have to say, Ange Postecoglou will really assess this game by saying, not a great first half. We were threatening in the first half, but struggled to get anything near goal, and we were punished on that front, but much better in the second half and well deserving of the 3 points. And I think that's would be a fair assessment of the game, because that's basically how the game's played out. Spurs have been the better side the whole way through, but it's just they weren't able to really threaten Aston Villa in terms of in front of goal in the first half, and Villa were. And that was the difference. Whereas in the second half, Spurs have been so much better, so much more threatening. And that is what gets them the 3-1 lead at this minute in time. Still wouldn't bet against maybe a Solanke hat-trick here, with 6 minutes to go of the 10 added. Porro and Dragashin. Now Johnson hits it against his own man, but gets it straight back to Johnson. And an orthodox 1-2 between those two. And here's Sarr. Now into the little half space for Maddison, who tries to find Solanke, who goes down, but will get the free kick. Initially he couldn't hear the whistle there, but the referee does give them the free kick. And Diego Carlos and Solanke maybe getting all macho, but I think they need to get a grip of themselves and calm yourself. I mean, he was shoved a slight bit, Solanke, to be fair. It was a shove, and then Carlos tries to help him up initially, and then Solanke doesn't take his hand and then shoves him back down. Oh, seriously. One to just laugh about, really. Let's be honest. Nothing serious in that. Halfway through the 10 added dead, and Spurs have a free kick on the edge of the D. Kulishevsky and Maddison over it. And see what they can offer. As the Villa set up their 4-man wall. This would really be the icing on the cake if Tottenham were to score from here. It's not a mad distance, it is about 20 yards out. So it's well within reach and well within range. James Maddison! 4-1! Told you it would be the icing on the cake, and there it is. James Maddison really wraps up this game for Tottenham. Stood like statues did the Villa defence, and so did the Villa goalkeeper. All caught out by a lovely quick free kick by James Maddison, and that really tops it all off for Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham Hotspur. And James Maddison certainly puts Villa to bed, and certainly puts the 3 points to bed. And he does his famous dart celebration. You could just see it coming. Beautiful curling effort. Emi Martinez really couldn't do very much about it. The Villa wall was not set up well at all. Just curled it round them. And an absolutely fabulous finish by James Maddison. And that is one way to top off what has been a fantastic second half for Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs 4, Aston Villa 1. That is certainly the threat of which Spurs are capable. Everything has just clicked in this second half, and for Aston Villa it's all come crumbling down. But what a way to cap off again not only what has been a great second half, but what has been a great week for Tottenham. Two of their toughest opponents, both at home, yes, maybe, but two of their toughest opponents, two of last season's top 4, coming to North London to really show them who's boss, and Spurs sat them both down and said, this is our job, this is our house, and this is what we're going to do to you. They beat Manchester City, and now they've absolutely thrashed Aston Villa. And there is no question, no arguing, no counter point to that. They have made Villa look like schoolboys this afternoon. And certainly a lot of soul searching for Aston Villa, really, albeit only their second defeat of the season in the Premier League, but certainly one where they thought at half time, if not it's winnable, it's certainly capable of getting something out of this game. And that was the kind of feeling, really, you would say, at half time, albeit Spurs couldn't be more inaccurate than they were in that first half. They were always going to be more accurate. They were always going to be more threatening. This Villa weren't ready for it, clearly. And this second half has been one to remember, really, for Tottenham and their fans. Back-to-back thrashings of Aston Villa. 4-0 at Villa Park in March. 4-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in November. Last minute of the game then, as Pau Torres almost giving it away. Papsar with a swiped effort straight at Emi Martinez. They're not done yet, Spurs. They're still wanting more. That shows the hunger, the initiative, the passion, the desire of the Tottenham team to continue pushing no matter what. And it kind of reminds me of when Ange Postecoglou was the head coach at Celtic, as there's the final whistle. As it was saying, it reminds me of Ange Postecoglou when he was manager of Celtic, when they were told, we never give up, we never stop, we always keep going. And that is the motto of this Spurs team. Half time, it looked dire, it looked tough, it looked really beyond them, it looked really difficult for Tottenham, but they came out in this second half and really showed Villa who they really are. An equalizer from Brennan Johnson, set up by Son. 2 Dominic Solanke finishes to really take it away from Villa before James Maddison put the icing on the top of the cake with a free kick goal to cap off what has been a fabulous week for Tottenham. Final score in North London: Tottenham 4, Aston Villa 1. There we are. That is game 1 of the double-header on Super Sunday done. And one more to come for you. Manchester United against Chelsea is on the way very shortly. Don't forget that we will be back in midweek as well for Champions League action. All of that to come. Quick look at the table then for you just before we leave you for our next game, which is on the way very, very, very shortly. This is how the table looks then. Tottenham jump up to 7th in the Premier League table. Their 5th win of the season. Gets them on to 16 points and just 2 behind both Aston Villa and Arsenal, and with very much in touching distance of the top 4. Join us in about 30 minutes time for Manchester United against Chelsea. Do stay with us. Thanks for joining me for this one. At least only one half of what has been a very good football match.